Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Friday the 22nd of August. I'm Hilary Entwistle. An extensive restoration project on a piece of World War II aviation history will begin taking shape in the coming months at Classic Flyers. Arriving in Mount Maunganui overnight, the 1943 World War II Grumman Avenger torpedo bomber is expected to be restored to pristine condition in the next 2 years. Based out of Number 30 Squadron of the Royal New Zealand Air Force, as part of a light bomber squadron, the plane saw service against the Japanese in the Pacific Theatre during the last 2 years of the Second World War. Classic Flyers Chief Executive Andrew Gormile says the dismantled plane has been handed over by the Gisborne Aviation Preservation Society, which needed assistance in the refurbishing of the aircraft. Mild winter temperatures have seen a potentially toxic algae re-emerge in the water of Hamilton's Lake Rotorua. Sally Sheedy, Hamilton City Council's Parks and Open Spaces Manager, says NIWA testing this week has revealed an extremely high count of the cyanobacteria, plus noticeable visible scums at Scooter Bay. Ms Sheedy says it's vital people kept themselves and any animals away from the water, and any fish caught in the lake should not be eaten. This Saturday we'll see a new Bay of Plenty Secondary School Division 1 champion. Aquinas College take on Whakatane High School at Rotorua International Stadium, with neither team having won the Bay-wide competition before. Aquinas coach Shane Wilson feels the team is hitting its straps at the right end of the season, having locked away the Te Kani Shield for the summer. On the game this Saturday, Wilson is wary of a big, strong Whakatane forward pack. He says his team cannot let the Eastern Bay side get momentum, as they may be hard to stop. Whakatane coach Carl Reinick says there has been a buzz about town, and it's been a long time since Whakatane has made a final. A magic mushroom tea party in Katikati turned sour for 3 Bay Plenty men, Tauranga District Court heard this week. Each of the men suffered dire consequences after consuming the drug substance in June, with one narrowly escaping a jail sentence. Police say 40 to 45 mushrooms were put into the men's tea, which the men, all aged in their early 20s, shared. Police and ambulance were called to the Keir Street address at 2 a.m, where one man had injured himself while smashing windows and another had become seriously unwell and was vomiting. Marine forecast for Saturday now. West coast, Raglan, southerly 15 knots, rising Saturday morning to 25 knots and rough seas. Your high tide is at 8:35 a.m. East coast, Bay of Plenty, southerly 15 knots, easing to 10 knots at night. Fine and a high tide at 5:17 a.m. Just ahead, the Science Roadshow. Welcome to Central News on TV Central. Since 1988, the National Science Technology Roadshow has been travelling around the country, bringing the science to the children. There has been a push for STEM subjects worldwide, so we headed along to Green Park Primary in Tauranga, where St Mary's Catholic School was soaking up the magic of science. So Shane, can you tell me a little bit about the National Technology Science Roadshow?
Cool, yes I can. Now what we do is we travel around the schools around the country. We take a interactive science program with us. Each group of kids that comes and sees us see 2 live science shows, and they have about 30 to 40 minutes to actually enjoy the exhibits that we bring. We have about 70 to 80 interactive exhibits that we take around schools.
How do the children react when you guys come to visit? And on the whole, are they interested in science?
They're very interested in science. They see a big truck come to school, it creates a big buzz from the get-go, and when they start seeing all our equipment come off the truck, they get really excited, even before school, before we even start doing our programs.
Science is quite complicated. I'm not the best at understanding it. How do you teach it to such a young audience?
Well, we need to break it down, basically. We take the more complicated ideas and then we peel off, almost like an onion, peel off the different layers till we get down to the core parts, and then we try to teach them and build it back up again.
Do you find the kids react better to the interactive part or to the show?
The interactive part is a good break from the show. When we do our shows, they're 15 minutes long. We keep them really short because that's the attention span of the children, and having that 40 minutes on the exhibits afterwards gives it a really good break between our two different shows, and the kids really get into the interactive side of things.
Now you have helpers for the exhibitors too though?
We do. We have, usually from the school we are at, we usually have between 12 and 15, we call them our explainers. We spend an hour in the morning training them up on all our equipment, and they're kind of like our extra eyes and ears on the floor during the day, and they just help us with the experiments, particularly the experiments that if children use them incorrectly, they can hurt themselves.
And hopefully you have inspired some kids here to take up a career in science. Where can a career in science lead you? Obviously it can lead you to doing something like you and taking a roadshow, but where else?
It can lead to doing the roadshow like us. We have a staff member on board at the moment who actually saw the science road at school and now works for us. However, there is multiple aspects of science you can get involved in, from Massey University, dairying, medical stuff, research and cancer science, that sort of thing. Lots and lots of different fields it can lead into.
What's your name? Lily. Okay, so Lily, what we're going to do is we're looking at respiration, which is a scientific term for breathing. Okay, it's all about getting oxygen into our lungs and breathing out carbon dioxide. So Lily, what I'm interested in with you is figuring out how much your lungs can hold, what your lung capacity is. And to do that, we have this. So what this is a cylinder full of blue coloured water with measurements along the side. 1 litre, 2 litres and 3 litres. This tube here feeds into the bottom of it. Okay, so this is for you, you can hold on to that. It's been sterilised so it's nice and safe for you to have in your mouth. And in a moment, Lily, when I ask you to, I need you to take one big breath in and then breathe out, blow the breath through the tube as hard as you can, and it will fill up to the top, push the water out, and where it stops, that will be your lung capacity. But before she does that, put your hand up if you think she might have 1 litre of air in her lungs. Who thinks she might have 2 litres? And who thinks she might have 3 litres? Okay, a couple of you. So let's find out, shall we? So it's just like blowing bubbles through a drinking straw. Okay, so when you're ready, one big breath in and breathe out. Away you go. And away you go, away you go. As much as you can, keep going. Well done. Okay, you're turning a funny colour. You better stop. Okay, so this shows us you've actually got 2 litres of air in your lungs. Well done, that's an awesome result. You can go take a seat. Thank you very much for your help. Ooh, did anyone notice something else changed in the water? Yes. The colour, exactly. It was blue before, wasn't it? Now it looks quite yellow. So, what we have in the water is something we call an indicator. It changes colour in the presence of something else. Who can guess what causes it to change colour? Ooh, oxygen's a good guess, but we breathe in oxygen. What do we breathe out at the back? Carbon dioxide, absolutely. So we breathe out carbon dioxide. It caused our indicator to change colour, and it proved to us that we do actually breathe out carbon dioxide. Alright, so respiration is the term that we give this. Breathing in oxygen, getting it to the cells in our body, and then they can survive and carry out their processes, and then they expel their waste product, which is carbon dioxide.
Still to come on Central News, Jet Sprints, the legend of Bay Park, and your weather for the weekend. Welcome back to Central News. Over 15,000 people packed out Bay Park on anniversary weekend of January this year to witness the thrills and spills of the world's first jet sprints in a stadium. The event was hailed such a success from all over the globe that it has been signed up to continue for the next 3 years. I spoke with some of the organisers to find out if they think the novelty of a world first will wear off and affect the success of the next 3 years of stadium jet sprinting.
Not at all. The jet sprinting fraternity are very keen to come back and race in the stadium, and I think from an audience perspective we pretty much packed out ASB Bay Park, and we've had constant inquiries since the event as to when it's coming back again. We are looking to make it an annual fixture rather than any more frequent, so there's still the novelty there, and we're looking at changing the scope of the event and the program to add something new and exciting every year. So absolutely, I don't think it would detract at all.
Urban, what has been some of the feedback from the wider Tauranga community about hosting it again for another 3 years?
Well, all I can say is that once this new contract was announced, we have received instant response in terms of people asking if they can be involved, asking if they can book facilities with which to enjoy it. We've had tremendous response from people involved in the city and administering the city, like the City Council and Priority One, and those sort of organisations that are interested in the business and the future development of the area and understand the benefits of bringing an event that has a legacy and also has the ability to profile the area. So we've really had an instant, very immediate response to the announcement a couple of weeks ago, and so it's pretty positive endorsement, really.
Do you see it as kind of being a Tauranga, Bay Park, that's where they have those jet sprints, don't they?
Well, Bay Park, as you probably know, already has a petrol head profile because of the long-standing motor racing that has happened here and in its predecessor venue. So the Bay Park name is already associated with this sort of activity. This adds to the legend and grows it, in my view, and so I think the history of Bay Park will add to this event, and this event adds to the history of Bay Park.
Next year will be a little bit different though, won't it?
It will. We're actually taking the event to a 2-day format, which will be great from an audience perspective and being able to hopefully more people come along to be able to enjoy the event. And we're actually taking the event outside the standard championship series to a standalone stadium cup. It will be an invitational cup where we can actually have participants come down from the US, from Canada and from Australia, where the other jet sprint racing currently happens. And also we're looking at some changes to the program, which will really be focusing on making it an event that is fantastic for the spectators as well as for the racers.
Now, even though Chiefs games were played at Bay Park this season, do you think the jet sprints had an effect on Rugby Union's decision on that?
I don't think it had any effect. I think the key issue with regard to rugby was that a share in the Chiefs franchise, and this is the Chiefs franchise that have made this decision, they decide where the Chiefs play. Taranaki Rugby Union bought a share in that, and in return they were allocated 2 games, and they were the games that normally would come to both Bay Park and over the last couple of years, in fact, to the Pukekohe area. So I don't think the jet sprints had any bearing on it whatsoever. In fact, we knew before we went ahead with the jet sprints that there was no Chiefs rugby game here over the season just gone.
And so the field out there, it's perfectly fine?
Well, it's actually better than it's ever been right at this stage. I mean, if you looked out that window, you'd see a perfect green field. It's since the jet sprints, it has actually been stripped off and regrown. So this is in fact the best this surface has ever been for rugby. So hopefully the Bay of Plenty Steamers enjoy playing on a perfect grass surface.
New Zealand Jet Sprint Association Chair Eric Hoxma, he said that the stadium event allowed the association to take the sport to the next level. What does that mean? What is the next level?
The next level, I think for a long time they have been talking about taking the sport into a stadium, but it hasn't happened to date. So for them, bringing the sport to the people, I guess, rather than hosting it in more rural locations and bringing it to a main centre, with the crowds of, as we said, up to 15,000 is a whole new level for this sport, and it really has allowed them to achieve a greater exposure for the sport than they currently have had, and take it out to more mainstream audiences rather than just the hardcore jet sprint followings. And I think the sport really does capture the imaginations of Kiwis who love V8s, who love motor racing and who love boating, and it's all in one place, and it's actually brought to them in the city, so it doesn't get much better than that for the sport.
So remind us again, what is jet sprinting?
Well, jet sprinting is, in its simplest form exceptionally highly powered boats racing around a very tightly construed track. In our case, it was only 4 metres wide and around about 600 millimetre deep, so it's not a big space. They go tremendously fast, and they're basically racing against each other and against the clock. So they don't race side by side, they race a time trial, and other boats in their category will do the same. So the excitement builds as the number of races go on, and we found that for a crowd who are seeing jet sprinting, many of them for the first time, they really did get involved in that once they understood what was going on. Jet sprinting is also, let me say, thrills and spills with the boats exiting the track, going too fast, flying across the grass. It was fantastic family entertainment, but it is powerful machines racing against each other in a water track.
So it's definitely something for everyone.
Definitely something for everyone, and we found that there was a huge cross-section of people who did attend, and honestly, there hasn't been a single piece of negative feedback about the event we held, or anyone that I've run across who've said they didn't have the most fantastic time.
And I would just say we've had some anecdotal stories where wives came along with their motor racing husbands just to accompany them for a couple of hours, and they were still here 10 hours later at 10 p.m. at night, absolutely loving it. So yeah, it definitely did have a broad appeal.
Coming up next, get moving with a new mag. Welcome back. A new magazine launched in Hamilton this month aims to motivate, encourage, inspire and inform people in the Waikato and get them off the couch and get moving. Fitness Journal is free and published monthly. And director Alan Neben explains what we can expect to read in Fitness Journal.
The main aim, I think, is really to motivate the people of the Waikato to help them be healthier. I think by being healthier, we can improve people's quality of life.
We have an absolute wealth of sporting talent within the Waikato. This must make your job pretty easy.
Oh, we certainly do, and it really does. Our biggest problem is not deciding who we should be featuring. It's making those tough calls about who we cut for this issue and who we hold to the next issue. I don't think we're going to be having any trouble finding profiles to fill the pages of Fitness Journal for the next couple of years at least.
Tell me about this month's cover girl, Jamie Nielsen.
What a success story we have there. Really unlucky not to medal at the Commonwealth Games, but look at her age and look at her performances against those quality international fields, both on the track cycling and on the road. Spectacular, and there's a wonderful young person from the Waikato doing wonderful things.
How will Fitness Journal help motivate and educate people who are training for specific events, such as Round the Bridges?
Well, Round the Bridges is probably a prime example of something that is purpose-built, if you like, for Fitness Journal. It's our opportunity to get people who might otherwise stay sitting on the couch, off that couch, on their feet and running and having a little bit of fun to go with it. I guess for us, there is advice and there is motivation for elite athletes, for top sports people, but there's also a real focus on giving really good advice for the novices, for people who are new to sport, for people who are new to physical activity. And I think there will be some really good advice in the pages of Fitness Journal in the months coming that are going to lead those people quite nicely into Round the Bridges.
And where can people get a hard copy, and how can they subscribe to your e-copy?
Well, the hard copies are going to be available through all leading gyms in the Waikato region, as well as through health professionals and retail in the sport and health sectors. If you go to our website, you'll see where they can be picked up, and you can subscribe also so that you'll receive a free ebook version every month.
To sign up for your e-copy, head to fitnessjournal.co.nz or follow them on Facebook, Fitness Journal Waikato. That's one word. Now for our regions, weather for the weekend. Saturday for you, Hamilton, fine with southerlies. They may be a bit fresh at times. Your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 0. The rest of the Waikato, fine. Southerlies, a little bit fresh in exposed places. Paeroa, your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 2. Matamata, 14 and 1. Te Awamutu, 15 and 0. And Tokoroa, you can expect a high of 13 and an overnight low of 0. Tauranga, fine with a fresh southerly. Your expected high is 16 and an overnight low of 4. Other parts of the Bay of Plenty is going to be fine, southerlies, and they will be quite fresh in exposed places. Te Puke, you can expect a high of 15 and an overnight low of 5. Sunday for you, Hamilton, will be fine with morning frost, and those fresh southerlies turn to a southerly breeze. Your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 0. The rest of the Waikato, fine with morning frost and those southerly breezes. Your expected high is 15 and an overnight low of 3 for Paeroa. Matamata 13 and 2. Te Awamutu 15 and 9. Tokoroa 14 and 0. Tauranga, your Sunday will be fine with just a southerly breeze. Your expected high is 16 and an overnight low of 4. The rest of the Bay of Plenty, fine with morning frosts and southerly breezes. Te Puke, you can expect a high of 14 and an overnight low of 4. That is Central News for this week. If you have something you would like to share with us, you can get in contact with us via our Facebook page, centralnews.tv, or email us, news@tvcentral.co.nz. Anne-Marie will be here next week finding out about the Great New Zealand Food Show and Anna Stretton's plans for showing at London Fashion Week. I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.